What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily. It's been far too long since the last episode of Retro Reviews, but we are finally back, this time with probably one of the most iconic and widely recognized iMacs, the iMac G3. The last episode of Retro Reviews featured the wild and colorful clamshell iBook, and around that same time, Apple was pushing this wild and colorful all-in-one desktop that would be available in 13 different colors. Released in 1998, the G3 iMac had a decent lifespan with numerous hardware refreshes all the way up to 2003. Designed by Johnny Ive, the big, bulky bubble design was actually really innovative. Nothing else was like it on the market, and this pretty much summed up a lot of Apple products during the late 90s. The crazy color combinations and translucent plastic were a big hit on a number of products, and that big handle on the back allowed this desktop to be portable, if you could say that. All of the ports on the G3 iMac were cleverly hidden behind this door. You got a pretty slim selection, just some audio ports, Ethernet and phone, and 2 USB ports, and that actually made the iMac the first computer to exclusively offer USB as standard and abandon Apple's proprietary ports like the ADB connection. The first iteration of this iMac was tray loading, like you see here, later updated to a slimmer slot loading setup. The keyboard was pretty boring and a little ugly with those dark keys, but the color matching details and underside I guess made it not so awful. What was awful though was the new USB mouse. Most people called it the hockey puck mouse for obvious reasons, and this thing is considered to be one of Apple's biggest mistakes. It was the first mouse that connected via USB, which was great, but the design and ergonomics just made absolutely no sense. It had a trackball, and as a mouse it did what it was supposed to do, but using it was awkward and uncomfortable. It was small, flat, too round, and just didn't make sense for something that was supposed to be in your hand. Nothing about it looked or felt good, which was why it was abandoned just 2 years later by the crystal clear Apple Pro mouse. Luckily, the disappointing hockey puck mouse wasn't enough to discourage people from using the G3 iMac, and people found countless workarounds and third-party accessories to replace it. The 15-inch CRT display was par for the course in regards to late 90s tech. It had a 1024 by 768 pixel resolution, which was more than enough for displaying macOS 8 when it was launched, macOS 9 like this machine is running, and could even be updated as far as macOS 10.4 Tiger for the later editions of the G3 iMac. As far as macOS 9 is concerned, aside from those pixely folder icons and the gray-on-gray design scheme, usability was pretty good. This machine has all the essentials loaded onto it, and although you didn't get much spec-wise, even now it runs pretty smooth. You could get anywhere from a 350 MHz processor to a 750 CXE processor for the later models, and 64, 128, or 256 megabytes of RAM. The highest hard drive space offered at the time was 60 gigabytes, but the early machines shipped with a measly 6 gigabytes. The G3 iMac launched with a hefty price tag of $1,300, but even at that price, it became an icon and one of the most widely recognized Apple computers even to this day. It was popular among the younger generation, in the education market, and was a lot of people's first computers. It was the last of its kind to feature the fun plastic and color design, but it will always be remembered for its looks. They're still a cult favorite with a lot of people speccing these up, but this probably won't be something I use as my daily computer. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Retro Reviews. Let me know what you think of the G3 iMac in the comments below. Also, be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.